Today's episode is one some of you have been requesting for a while, and you can thank Patreon supporter Colby Parker for sponsoring it. From Decepticon Warrior to Autobot Samurai, these are the basics on Drift. Drift was an original character created by writer Shane McCarthy and artist Guido Guidi for IDW Publishing's Transformers comic books. A samurai Autobot of few words, armed with a great sword powered by his very spark, he transformed into a Nissan Silvia S15, a sports car popularly used for Japanese drift racing, for which the character was named. Debuting in the pages of All Hail Megatron issue number 5 in 2008, Drift wasn't the first IDW original character, but he was the first to receive a significant promotional push, with a Spotlight one-shot following in 2009 and a dedicated 4-issue miniseries in 2010 which told the story of his origin. Before the war, Drift lived on the streets and stole to survive. When he attended a Decepticon rally, he was picked from the crowd by Megatron to join the ranks of his army, and given the new name, Deadlock. During the war, Deadlock earned a reputation as a vicious but insubordinate warrior. When he challenged his commander's orders once too often, he was marked for execution and went on the run. His escape took him to the planet Theophany, where he encountered the long-lost sect of reclusive neutral Cybertronians known as the Circle of Light. Retaking his birth name, Drift stayed with the Circle for a time and trained in the way of the sword, ultimately renouncing his Decepticon allegiance as he became convinced that the Cybertronian race had lost sight of the reason it was at war. After Circle member Wing died helping Drift thwart Decepticon bounty hunter Lockdown's efforts to bring him in, Drift took up his fallen friend's sword and set out to make a difference in the war. Initially working alone, he eventually overcame his loner tendencies and joined the Autobots. An action figure of Drift quickly entered production and was released in 2010 as part of the Transformers Generations line, a notable example of a comics original character making the jump to toy form. But Drift initially proved to be a very divisive character among fans. Many considered the hype surrounding him to be excessive and artificial, and compared his Japanese-influenced design and personality to stereotypical fan characters. In time though, Drift would go on to find greater acceptance when he joined the cast of IDW's More Than Meets the Eye comic book, which reinvented him with a new optimistic and spiritual personality, as Drift became born again after a near-death experience. Inspired by a vision to join Rodimus on his quest to find the legendary Knights of Cybertron, Drift developed a friendly rivalry with staunchly atheist crewmate Ratchet. But when an error in judgment by Rodimus resulted in the deaths of several crew members, rather than risk the quest being derailed, Drift volunteered to take the blame and allowed himself to be exiled from the ship. When Ratchet discovered the truth, he went after him, and the pair starred together in a second Drift miniseries, Empire of Stone, in which they stopped the Decepticon plot to take control of an alien stone army. Eventually rejoining Rodimus's crew, Drift and Ratchet would go on to realize their true feelings for one another and became a couple, remaining together until Ratchet's peaceful death many years later. Beginning in 2010, efforts were made to incorporate Drift into other Transformers series. That year, a Transformers animated version of the character appeared in IDW's Allspark Almanac guidebook, and it was also planned to have Drift join the world of the live-action movies in the form of a non-transforming die-cast car released as part of the Revenge of the Fallen toy line, but this toy wound up being cancelled. However, despite this false start, Drift would eventually appear in the movie universe in the 2014 film Age of Extinction. Designed to look even more like a human samurai, this Drift was a Zen figure who liked to meditate and speak in haiku.
Loyalty's but a flower in the winds of fear and temptation.
What the hell are you saying?
It's a haiku.
It wasn't mentioned in the film, but Ancillary Media noted that, like his IDW counterpart, he too had once been a Decepticon. The live-action Drift was a triple changer, able to convert into 2 alternate modes, a helicopter and a Bugatti Veyron sports car. But unfortunately, the complexity of live-action movie character design has meant that none of the many toys of Drift that have been released in the various movie toy lines have been able to triple change, with separate figures instead being released for his car and copter modes. For his return appearance in 2017's The Last Night, his alternate mode was changed to a Mercedes-AMG GTR. Capitalizing on the character's appearance in film, Drift was also featured in the 2015 series Robots in Disguise, with a new orange and black look that was based on an early abandoned colour scheme for the movie character. As seen in the Robots in Disguise animated series, this version of Drift had also once been a Decepticon named Deadlock, who studied under Master Thief Shadow Raker. When he eventually abandoned his evil mentor, he took with him two of Shadow Raker's other followers, the Minicons Slipstream and Jetstorm, to whom he became a stern, uncompromising master who taught them the way of the samurai. Working as bounty hunters, the trio came to Earth to collect the price that Cybertron's corrupt High Council had placed on Bumblebee's head. But Drift changed his mind about the job after Bumblebee saved him from rival bounty hunter Fracture. Taken to task by the Autobots' human friend Russell Clay for the harsh way he treated his Minicon students, Drift elected to remain on Earth as part of Bumblebee's unit to learn more about teamwork. Whether travelling the globe apprehending Decepticon criminals, or helping to expose the High Council's corruption, Drift's stern demeanour was gradually softened by his new allies, allowing the genuine care that he had for his pupils to slowly reveal itself. In addition to the numerous toys there have been of both the movie and the Robots in Disguise versions of the character, the original Drift has also continued to appear in a variety of other toy lines and media, including comics, mobile games, and more. His original toy was recolored by the Transformers Collectors Club for their Shattered Glass series, as a mirror universe version of Drift, who was an evil, wisecracking mercenary in the vein of Marvel Comics' Deadpool. While the Japanese Transformers Legends toy line recolored the figure in Deadlock colours, representing a version of the character from the world of Transformers Cloud, who hasn't yet found his way to the side of good. Most recently, Drift has appeared in the Transformers Cyberverse cartoon, shown abandoning his life as Deadlock and defecting to the Autobots with the help of Bumblebee. Initially, Drift's appearance in the cartoon was based on an unofficial piece of art by Guido Guidi, which was itself based on the Generation 1 triple changer Springer, in a nod to the triple changing live-action Drift. However, a second design inspired more by the original Drift would later be introduced, serving as the basis for figures of both Deadlock and Drift that were released in the Cyberverse toy line. From controversial comic book beginnings to movie and TV stardom, there are few Transformers characters who've enjoyed a journey to fame quite like Drift's. His appearance and personality have varied, but the core concept behind the character, an honourable Autobot samurai seeking to leave the darkness of life as a Decepticon behind, has proven strong and unchanging enough to earn Drift recognition as one of the last decade's most notable rising stars in the world of the Transformers. And those are the basics on Drift. Head down to the comments and tell me about your favourite take on him. If you've enjoyed this video, give the like button a click and subscribe for more Transformers history and lore. If you can, please consider supporting the series on Patreon to get early access to new episodes.